Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. My name is Sally. Throughout high school and college, I had to endure insults like, as long as I have a paper bag. The choice of boys and then men is extremely limited if you are not beautiful and do not spread your legs to compensate for this. I have a very attractive body, slim and toned, with medium-sized shapes. But the fact is that my eyes, nose, and mouth don't quite meet the standard. I have the body of my mother and the face of a lumberjack, my father. I love my dad, but his square forehead, big nose, and big ears look better on him than on me. There's not much makeup can do. Alas, this is what it is. As my mother told me, be patient, there's someone for everyone. It's impossible to become immune to insults, but sometimes other people surprise you. I went into one pizzeria to pick up my order, and I heard someone among the softball players say that he would need 2 paper bags. One is for her, and the other is for him, in case she falls. Lots of laughter and thumbs up as I waited to pay for my order. A giant over 2 meters tall walked by and said, "Don't mind them, honey." He stood next to their table, turned his back to them, and farted loudly. When they were about to make a scene, he stared at them menacingly, and they changed their minds. "I suppose you boys owe the little lady an apology." One of them shouted, "Excuse me." But the giant's icy gaze forced the other to come up to me. The guys and I probably drank too much. Sorry for the snide comments. "Let me pay for your order," and reached for his wallet. "Thank you, that's very nice. You have a nice smile, I'm Sean." I felt myself blushing, and I barely managed to say, "Thanks again. I'm Sally. Can I get your phone number?" Well, I had my doubts that Sean would ever call me, but I was wrong. Sean was not then and is not now a socially qualified specialist, and his appearance definitely would not have helped him get dates. After we found each other, we had a year of courtship, and then we got married. Sean has a way of making me feel special. After one of our dates, we went to see Sean. I slowly undressed him, kissing everything. I spent my time kissing here and there. When it started to soften, I made it nice until it became hard as a stone again. I tortured him for about an hour before he filled me up. I didn't swallow, but he was so grateful that he hardly noticed it. Then Sean kissed a bowl of water like a dog for about 10 minutes before I offered to take me. He didn't know how to please a woman at all. He has amazing stamina after he throws out his first charge, so I start to rotate my pelvis and squeeze myself. This is a fair compromise. Sean is an architect at a small firm. He's been working there since we got married. People in this firm don't really like social gatherings. I currently work for a real estate title verification company. I've changed a few jobs, but I've been here for 5 years now, ever since our kids started driving. I'm not the kind of eye candy that people want to see in front of them, so I don't work with clients. We have 2 boys, both smart, and we are proud to send them to college. We have never had the opportunity to save for retirement. If it's not a problem with the car, then training or home repairs. We don't live from paycheck to paycheck, but almost. We have a very cheerful group of couples next door. There are 5 couples there, all about our age. We call ourselves a gang. All but one of the couples have children already living separately, and only one of them has a child who is not yet in college. We have been sharing our trials and tribulations for the past 10 years. There used to be 6 couples, but one turned out to have family problems. They divorced, sold the property, and left. Despite the fact that Sean had never been successful in dating, as he got older and more successful at work, he began to imagine himself a ladies' man. My girlfriends and gang ladies just roll their eyes when he spews some arrogant nonsense. It is not known for what reason Sean drives a pickup truck with manual gear shift. I think he thinks it makes him look macho. I grew up in manual transmission, so I have no problem borrowing his truck when I need it. I work a flexible schedule in the summer, 10 hours from Monday to Thursday and 3 days off. I use my Friday to do chores. We're having a gala dinner at the gang tomorrow. Somewhere in the house, I have a very beautiful lace tablecloth from my grandmother. It is stored in a cylindrical tube. The search began. After carefully checking the closets in the hallway and finding them empty, I moved on to the closets in the bedroom. There was a lost tube in the corner of Sean's closet. I was pulling him out of his mess when I knocked over a box of Sean's shoes. He hadn't worn them in years. probably since we attended his uncle's funeral about 6 years ago. The box tipped over and the shoes fell out. Pulling out the tube, I picked up the box and the shoes and was surprised, no, rather shocked, to find several photos of a lady without clothes inside one of the shoes. I would be flattered if these were my photos, but they are not. I sat on the bed and struggled with my emotions. My anger helped to hold back the tears. How can I determine the age of a photo? She wasn't a runway model, but I suspect that any lady without clothes turns a guy on. She's not young, but she's younger than me. I began to recall the past, trying to establish some sign of who and when. I decided to make a copy of the photo that best shows her face. I cropped the copy so that it was just a photo of a face. I tried to exclude the neighbors by starting to exercise, walking around the block several times every evening. I was unlucky there, but I continued to exercise. It also gave me time to think about my next steps. I was starting to believe that probably the next best area to study would be his work. I'd run in there on some random excuse, maybe to have lunch, just to look at those in the office. No one matched the photo. I had mixed feelings. I wanted to find her, and I couldn't. Our intimate life was largely unchanged. We made love on Saturday or Sunday, and then again in the middle of the week. There wasn't much going on that could shock the neighbors. When I really want something special, I can use my caresses as leverage on Sean. Even after all these years, his stamina is enough for me to experience strong finishes. I really like to finish in the rider's position, or even in the reverse rider's position. Sean likes to use me like a dog, but I make him make me feel good instead of lapping her up like a dog until at least I start tingling. He could never get me to the finish line with his tongue. I had almost given up looking for a woman when the next blow shook me. Sean was just standing at the other end of the yard among those gathered around Jim's pool, and he was yelling at the TV, which was showing some kind of baseball game. Everyone was wearing swimsuits. Beer flowed freely. The satellite radio in my car stopped working. After hanging in standby mode for a long time, and then talking for a few minutes with someone from customer support in broken English, we discovered that the credit card in the profile has a problem with the expiration date. It was Sean's profile. I found his trousers and pulled out his wallet. After solving the customer service problem, I hung up the phone. When pressing on Sean's wallet, he made a funny rustling sound. I waved my wallet like a fan and saw nothing that could explain it. I checked again. Yeah, the rustling sound came right out of the middle. I found a zippered pocket in my wallet, and when I opened it, I found a condom bag rustling. Since I was on the pill, we didn't need condoms. I know that I am not a beauty, but I also know that I am not stupid. And now I'm sitting on the bed again, struggling with emotions. Once again, my anger helped to dry my tears. I had a flash of anger or insight, depending on the point of view. My hobby of crafts and making postcards has ensured that I have several paints and inks. I found a bottle with beautiful emerald green permanent ink. To mark the boundaries and write on my homemade cards, I use a syringe pen with a tiny needle. The cylinder of the pen can be filled with any color that is needed. After each use, I always empty and clean the pen. Not wanting to get my hands dirty, I put on latex gloves. Just a tiny drop of this substance leaves a stain on your hands for a couple of weeks. I put the condom on the workbench. Using a syringe, I tried to extract the lubricant, but nothing worked. I mixed a large amount of emerald green ink with what little lubricant I could extract, then refilled the bag. I rolled the bag, mixing the contents thoroughly. With just a drop of glue and my hot glue gun, I sealed the tiny puncture made next to the "Open here, tear." I wrote with a pen on the condom package in tiny letters, "Do not use." Well, he was warned. I carefully gathered up Sean's wallet. Sean will have nothing to worry about if he remains a faithful husband. Not knowing who Sean was making love to, and when made the wait very painful, I didn't want the neighbors to find out anything. What does the old Navy man say? A chatterbox is a godsend for a spy. I needed to talk to someone about it, so I called my sister, who lives a few states away. I decided to trust her. She really cheered me up. She thought it was the safest thing I could do. All that was required of him was to be faithful. No mistake, no harm. Sean and I have a very predictable existence. He gets home around 6, and soon I follow him. Sometimes we meet at a restaurant before going home. Sometimes we go out into the city after I come home. And on Friday nights, we always go out to eat. I was starting to think that whoever it was could have been a long time ago, and Sean had forgotten about the condom. If you know that carelessness was in the past, this is a different kind of pain, not so burning. My naivety was shattered a few Fridays after I tinted a condom. Take off your clothes, turn off the light. You know how embarrassed I am about my weight. I shouldn't have let you take those pictures. Get a condom. My husband and I are trying to get pregnant, and I don't need any little Seans. It's done. The light is off. Give me a bag with a condom. I'll put it on you. I like it when you do it. My God, this thing is really greased this time. What kind of brand is this? I think it's the same as before. Ugh, what a terrible taste. Put it on yourself. Hurry up, I need to pick up the kids. I like your shape and that cute fifth point. Kiss me. I'm ready. Give it to me. Sean called around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and said he would stay late. Then, around 6 o'clock in the evening, he called and said he wanted to work out at the gym. I sent my sister a message. It seems we have a runner. I should have felt crushed, but I was so proud of myself. I turned on the porch light and also bolted the door. Sean will have to ask me to let him in the house. He will almost certainly realize that I ruined his condom. I didn't know if Sean would be cruel. Many years ago, we rebuilt our two-car garage, turning it into bedrooms, and built a canopy in the driveway, parking our cars outdoors. I waited and looked out the window. A car pulled up and parked between our house and the one next door. No one came out. I was a little worried because this car hadn't moved for over an hour. Finally, around 8 p.m., Sean pulled into the driveway. His shoulders were slumped as he shuffled to the front door. I saw green spots on his face. His lips seemed greenish, and his palms were a very beautiful green color. Before he reached the porch, a man jumped out of a parked car and ran towards Sean. "You bastard! You're using my wife!" he shouted, emptying the pepper spray can all the time. As soon as Sean was distracted, rubbing his eyes, the guy gave him a brutal punch in the stomach. Sean collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. The man started fiddling with Sean's belt. Pushing Sean's hands away, he managed to pull off his pants and underwear. "Try to deny it now, asshole." I can honestly say that I have never heard such a loud scream and with such a variety of height changes. The dogs in the neighborhood, all barking, probably had their tails between their legs. When Sean crouched and grabbed his groin, the man hit him right between the eyes. Sean leaned back motionlessly. A couple more punches to the groin, without any response. Then the man returned to his car and sped off. Speaking of conflict, should I call an ambulance? Pour cold water on him to bring him to his senses? Boil water and pour it on it? Or just turn off the outdoor lighting? You don't need to give your neighbors a reason to see this little Martian. I turned off the light. About 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I leaned heavily against the wall. "I need help. I'm really sorry, Sally. I did something terrible. May I come in?" "Not today, Sean," and closed the door. I heard him screaming. "I can't drive like that. I need to see a doctor." Well, I didn't want the neighbors to interfere, so I went out the door and said, "Give me your keys and get in the back of the truck. You're not riding in front with me." Sean was struggling to get into the back of the truck, so I shouted, "Move on. I don't have a whole night." I took him to the emergency room, hitting every bump in the road I could find with my wheel. I tried to shift gears as abruptly as I could. He threw up on himself, very badly. When he was trying to get out of the truck, I hit the clutch and he fell. Those primal screams again. Now he's with people who can take care of him, so I went home. Sean has a lot of keys on his keychain. I put the keys in his favorite shoebox. Around 10:30 in the evening, Jill, one of the gang's people, called me. She is an emergency room nurse at the hospital. She was euphoric and wanted to know what I was doing and how. She said Sean would lose one testicle and the other was badly damaged. Now, in order to raise his little leprechaun, he will need testosterone therapy. Since he also had a concussion, they were going to leave him overnight. Jill said that around 3:30 in the evening, a woman with green hands, lips, and tongue came to the emergency room. The lady also had green spots and smears in her crotch, stomach, and thighs. She was looking for something to remove the ink. Sent on her way with the words, "The only thing that seems to help you is time." The lady left in tears. Jill and I assumed that she put contraception on Sean, made him feel good, then wiped her hands on her stomach and then touched Sean's face and neck. Sean, on the other hand, must have been playing with her curves and using them. He held her hips. Jill, I don't think we're going to be like a couple at the next party. She laughed. Do you think so? Fuck you, girl. I called my sister, and we giggled like schoolgirls. I know that later I will have bouts of tears and depression due to the loss of my marriage, but today I felt amazing. I don't have any remorse. I'm going to see a divorce lawyer on Monday. I'm not going to spend much time in this house anymore. Something good has gone out of him. Tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day, with the tradition of wearing something green, he will be ready to go out. I was shopping on Saturday afternoon when Sean texted, I need my keys. I replied, you shouldn't have any trouble finding them. I found myself the perfect green shirt with an Irish theme. For me, for you, for love and joy. I will be faithful to you as long as you are, but not a minute later. I bought it, went to the ladies' room and changed my clothes. I plan to wear it as often as I can. Who knows what the future holds for me? I may not be good enough to get married again, but I won't stay married to someone who needs or wants another one. Growing up, I realized that a confident and intelligent woman can get a man, no matter what she looks like. I'll be fine, because my confidence is sky high today.